Alright, this is 10.5 B as in boy lecture, the second part of 10.5. This is example 4. We just did it on 10.5a, and we did it using what I called the modified FOIL method. Now we're going to do it in what the book calls the column method. I call it the vertical method. It doesn't really matter as long as you're doing it correctly. And the way you do this is the parentheses with the most terms in it we write first, and we put that on top. One with the least amount, this one right here, we put on the bottom. Okay, so we line everything up in column form starting on the right hand side like that. Alright, so what we do is we do it like a regular multiplication problem. If I had a number like 321 times 23, and I were multiplying that, I would multiply the 1 times 3. Well, that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to multiply the 1 times 3, and I get 3. And whatever I get, since I got a positive 3, I'm going to put a positive 3 there. Don't neglect putting the sign in front of it. Alright, so on this one here, we multiplied that and got a 3. What is the next step? We multiply the 2 times the 3. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to multiply this times this. Okay, so negative 2x times 3 is negative 6x. So once I did this, and I did this, next step is to do this. Okay, so the 2 times 3, I got a 6, and now I'm going to do the 3 times 3 and get 9. And I'm going to multiply this times this. And I'm going to get 9x squared. Now what do I do? Well, I do this multiplication here, 1 times 2. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to multiply this times this. And when I do that, I'm going to get 2x. Now notice how I'm keeping everything lined up. I'm keeping, it doesn't really matter if this were to go over here, but it just makes it look neater when I try to keep my x's with the same exponents together. So that's just why I did that. So this times this gives me my 2. Okay, so after I do this, then I do this part here. And I get 4. And that's what I'm going to do over here. I did this, now I'm going to do this. And I get negative 4x squared. So this times this was 2x. Negative 2x times positive 2x is negative 4x squared. So last I'm going to do is 3 times 2 and get 6. And this times this, well, including my exponent there. And I'm going to get 6x cubed. Now what do I do here? Right here, I add these. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to add. Nothing to add to that 3. Negative 6x plus 2x. Put a plus sign there. 9x minus 4x squared. And 9x squared minus 4x squared is 5x squared. And 6x cubed, there's nothing to add to that. And if you notice, I got the same answer. It really doesn't matter which method you use. They both work. I don't necessarily think one is easier or more difficult than the other, but sometimes one might be more convenient, but you need to be comfortable using both methods. In fact, the homework, it says that you should do half the problems using the FOIL method and half of the problems doing the column method, just so that you're comfortable using both of those methods. Okay, so this is still in example number 5, and this is C in example 5. And we're going to use the FOIL method to solve this, or to simplify that. And again, we take the first ones and multiply them, the x and the a. When you multiply x times a, there's nothing to combine, so you just write it as xa. And you're done with the f part of it. The outside, x times negative b. Well, again, you can't combine them, so you get negative xb, because a negative times a positive is a negative. So we're done with the o. Inside, y and a, we multiply those together, and we get ya. And last, it means that we're going to be multiplying the y and the negative b and get negative yb. Now we're going to look for things that are common. Do we have any common terms there? Do we have any terms that have the same variables in both of them and same exponents? Well, they all have the same exponents. All the exponents are 1, but this has an xa and this has an xb, so we can't combine those. This has a b, but it's got a y. This has a b, but it has an x, so those we can't combine. So there's nothing we can combine there. So we're all done with that one. Well, let's look at example 6, and then we'll be pretty well done with this lesson. The length of a rectangle, let's draw a rectangle here. The length is 3 more than twice the width. So what is the width? We know the least amount of that. We'll just call the width x. So the length is 3 more than twice the width. So twice the width plus 3. Write an expression for the area of a triangle. So how would you write the area of this? Area is always length times width. So if the length is 2x plus 3 and we multiply it by the width, it would be that right there. And if we just continued to go with that and distribute the x, we'd have a equals 2x squared plus 3x. So that's the formula. Unless we know what x is, we can't go any further. So that is completion of lesson 10.5 and done with the book.